Hi, it's Team 37575 Howl Mentors back to teach you how to make a testing log for your robot. This testing log is really helpful because it allows your team to keep track of your robot's progress and how consistent it is. The first thing you're going to want to do is open a new sheet. Our team likes to add some information like the date and a section for notes about the run, but you can customize this to whatever works well for your team. The first mission we like to add is small inspection. Under it, we're going to insert a checkbox, and so it immediately has a default value of false, but if we check it, it now has value of true. So now we want to assign it a numerical value. So next to it, we're going to write an if-then statement. So the first thing we want to do is merge these two cells, and then we can center it. And we also like to turn on text wrapping because after you add a lot of missions to this, it can get very large. So an if-then statement always starts with an equal sign, but without it, it's going to look like this. So we're going to have if, parenthesis, the condition you want it to check, then comma, you're going to want the result if it's true, then the result if it's false. So all if-then statements look similar to this. They have the parenthesis and then three things. What you are checking that has to result in a true or false statement, then what you want it to do if it's true, and what you want it to do if it's false. So our if-then statement is going to look like this. We're going to have if equals if parenthesis, and then we want to click on the box that has the check mark in it. So we click on it and it gives it its name, C2, and then we have comma, and now we want the result if it's true, which would be 20 points, and then the result if it's false, which would just be 0. Now we hit enter, and when we check the box, you can now see that it has a value of 20 points, and when we uncheck it, it now has a value of 0. This strategy works well for a lot of missions that only have one scoring condition, but some have multiple parts or can be scored in different ways. An example of this would be the unload cargo ship mission. It has multiple different scoring conditions that I can put under it, but I want to have all of my checkboxes and numbers in the same row, so I'm going to insert a row above where I started. And up here, I can add more titling information. So I'll write the name of the mission up there, and then under it, I can write the different scoring conditions. So I'll write off of the deck, and then fully east of the deck. Now over here, we're going to have that if-then statement again. So again, I'm going to merge these cells. So because once I add all of the missions to this spreadsheet, it's going to end up taking a lot of space. So to make that smaller, I want to turn on text wrapping for the entire spreadsheet. So I'm going to click up here in this box in the upper left-hand corner, and I'm going to go over here to text wrapping and choose wrap. Okay, so in this box over here, I'm going to write that if-then statement again. But first, I need to add two checkboxes. So I'm going to go up here to insert and add those two checkboxes. And now I'm going to write another statement. So I'm going to have if equals if parentheses, and then I'm going to choose E3. And then I'm going to say comma. If it's true, I'm going to want 20 points. If it's not, I'm going to want 0. So now we can see that we have that value there. But I also want to be able to check this box and have the value change. So what I'm going to do is add another part to this if-then statement. So I'm going to say plus, and then if, parentheses, and now I'm going to choose this box F3, and then I'm going to have the amount of points if it's true, which would be 10, otherwise 0, and parentheses there, and hit enter. So now, as you can see, when we don't have any of them checked, it's 0 points. When we check one of them, it's 20, and when we check the other one, it's now 30 points. So right now, I have these individual scores, but I don't have a total score, so I want to add that. You can put this wherever you want, but I want to put it over here by the notes section, so I'm going to insert a column next to it, and I'm going to title it score. Now, under this, I'm going to write an equation that adds up the two individual scores we have. Now, every equation has to start with the equal sign, and then I'm going to choose E3, which is the score for the small inspection, and I'm going to say plus, and then I'm going to choose H3, which is the score for the unload cargo ship. And now when I hit enter, you can see that I have a score that adds up those two, and when I change the score conditions, the total score also changes. So now that I have this all set up, I want to add color, and one way I can do this is to use conditional format. So I'm going to choose all the boxes that have check marks in it, and I'm going to go up here to format, and then I'm going to choose conditional formatting. And as you can see, it has lots of different rules that you can choose to follow. I'm going to go here to is equal to, and then it's going to ask for a value, and I'm going to say true. And so now, when this checkbox is true, it will be green. So now, as you can see, they're green, but when I uncheck them, they no longer have any color. Another way you can add color to something is by going up here to this text color and choosing a color you want. So you can see that the checkbox also now has a different color. Once you have all the missions that you want in your spreadsheet, you can create a default row by unchecking some of your boxes, and then you can copy this row, and you can create as many copies of it as you need. Another thing that you can do with conditional formatting is change the color of your score row based on how many points are in there. So you can use conditional formatting and say if it is above a certain value, make it green. If it's below a certain value, make it red. If it's somewhere in the middle, make it yellow. You can also do that same thing with the scores of individual missions. Another thing that you can do to help format is create a box around each mission by going up here at borders. And you can do this for all of your missions, and it just helps to visually separate them. Eventually your spreadsheet will get to the point where you can't see everything without scrolling, so it can be helpful to freeze a few rows. So I'm going to go up here to View, Freeze, and then I'm going to freeze the first 2 rows of headers, and I'm also going to freeze the rows that have the date, the notes, and the score. So again, I'll go up here to View, Freeze, and then I'm going to choose up to column C, which is where I'm clicked right now. So now when I scroll down, you can still see the headers at the top, and when I scroll over, you can still see the date, the notes, and the score. So after you've finished your spreadsheet and recorded some runs, it will end up looking something like this. Hope this video helped.